Hey, I wanted to make this video because I've seen a few online about people buying houses, some new builds, but none necessarily who have bought off-plan and on a brand new development. Because you see these stories and people are, having a fairly quick process, and so I just wanted to give you an insight into the process that I've experienced buying a new build off plan on a brand new development, because it's let's just say it's taken a little bit longer than initially expected. Unfortunately, COVID didn't help with that, but you'll be able to tell that things were going to be delayed anyway without COVID. So first off, it was the beginning of last year. We decided that we were going to buy a house. So me and my husband went out looking. We never thought we'd buy a house, to be honest. It was a case of we just assumed we'd always be renting. And then he came into some money, not loads, but enough for the deposit. And we just never thought we'd be able to save for a deposit. So using the Help to Buy equity loan scheme as well, we worked out what we could probably afford. And we went looking. So we found a really nice place just near where we are now, on a Redrow development. Unfortunately, when it came down to it, we couldn't afford it. It was like 10 grand, just over our budget. But the person there let us know that actually they were having a brand new development just up the road, because this was already an established development. They were just adding on to it. But there was going to be a brand new development that they were doing 10 minutes up the road, and the house prices were going to be a little bit cheaper. It was a bit further away from the motorway. It didn't have a train station in the village, but it didn't matter to us. So yeah, we thought that sounded good. It was the house we wanted was 30 grand cheaper on this new development as well, which brought us within budget. So yeah, we were interested in that. So we looked at what was available and all the plots, and we was actually the first to reserve. Now, with a brand new development, and I imagine with developments existing, they do what's called early birds, like an early bird reservation. I'm not sure if it's the same with every development or even every Redrow development, but in this scenario they would only release an early bird reservation to someone who wasn't a part of a chain. So if you were relying on your house selling to be able to buy this house, then they wouldn't have released it to you. But because we weren't reliant, we were renting, so it didn't matter to us. They allowed us to reserve the plot really early. So this is back in April. So the exact date we reserved initially was the 16th of April 2019. So that's when we did the first reservation form and paid the £500 reservation fee, which is kind of, I think, common for most developers. It's definitely Redrow anyways, the £500 reservation fee, which goes, well, in our case went towards our deposit in the end. So the 5% deposit we put down, the 500 came off of that. So because it's brand new development, they didn't have the proper reservation form, so they just filled out one they had for their existing development. And at that time they were saying our estimated completion is winter 2019 to spring 2020. Now, everyone will tell you with new builds and new developments, don't take that as gospel. Take it with a pinch of salt, because that is going to change. So we expected, spring, maybe summer, pushing it. So anyway, that was the first reservation form on the 16th of April 2019. On the 2nd of May, they had actually created the system for this new development, and they were just starting to build the show homes. So we had to do another reservation fee. They didn't have the addresses yet, but we had to do another reservation fee, form, so it was on the system. So we did that, and at that point the estimated completion date was now January 2020. Yeah, I still thought, yeah, you're going to add a few months onto that, but that's what it is. So that happened. So a few months went by, and we didn't need to do anything. Normally when you reserve a property, if it's an existing development and the houses are going up quite quickly, they will say something like, from the day you reserve, you have 28 days to then exchange. In this case, they hadn't even started building houses, so that it wasn't quite like that. But normally you may find they say you've got the 28 days from doing the reservation form to exchanging. So on the 21st of July, we then had to do another reservation form, and this is because they got the addresses. So this was the final reservation form on their system, all computerized with the addresses, and that form had an estimated completion date of February 2020. So once again, I think, oh yeah, it's still going to go back, but it was, looking good. So on the 10th of August 2019, we actually got to go and visit the site, and at this point, as you can see from the pic, that the show homes are visible in the background, but where the picture is taken from the view of the camera from me, is where our plot is, and at the moment it's got loads of materials on it, loads of stuff to get ready, but those houses you can see were all the show homes, and considering they were meant to open in August, they were a little bit behind on the show homes already, but the show homes ended up opening at the end of October. So it wasn't too bad if you look at the state of the show homes from then on August, the 10th of August to the end of October, and they had everything finished. It wasn't too bad. So at the end of July, we got confirmation from Redrow that their solicitors were going to be issuing the contracts within the next few weeks, and that we needed to get the mortgage sorted then, because then we would have the 28 days from getting the contracts to exchanging, and if we didn't do that, then they may put the house on the market again. I'll rewind a little bit. Before this, when we first did the reservation, we had to go through the Help to Buy, which was done by our mortgage brokers, and they had to apply for Authority to Proceed, ATP, and once they get that, then we can do the reservation. It's all good, we can apply for the mortgage. So we applied for the mortgage sort of end of July. At the time we was having a little bit of an issue. We were rejected by Halifax and TSB. Broker gave us a reason, but I wasn't quite sure on why. But we ended up getting an offer from Accord, which are a sister company of Yorkshire Building Society or something like that. And to be honest, for a 5-year fixed, it was a rate of 1.97, so it wasn't actually terrible. And I was just happy to have a mortgage offer in place. So we had the mortgage that was granted on the 16th of August, and we're waiting for the contracts. And Redrow were like, oh yeah, they're coming. And don't forget, end of July we said it was going to be 2 weeks. So time goes on, and September comes. Yeah, they're coming. And it was not until. So it wasn't until the 2nd of October that they actually issued the contracts to our solicitor. And being a brand new development, the solicitor then wanted to go through loads of different things through it, and there was a lot of back and forth between Redrow and the solicitor, because ours was one of the first, I think that we were the first to exchange, and because it's a brand new development, there was a lot of things that needed, to go through with a fine-tooth comb. And it turned out we didn't actually end up exchanging till the 17th of December. So considering they were rushing us in August to get our mortgage, we didn't exchange till December. And by that point, when they issued the contracts in October, the completion date had been pushed back to May, 8th of May. That was the date on our contracts. So you can already tell we got our mortgage offer in August. That was only going to last until February the 12th. Yeah, February the 12th. So we already knew we were going to have to extend our mortgage once to be able to buy the house. So that was a little bit annoying, because we were pushed to get the mortgage. We were told the contracts come in, and when they come you need to exchange, otherwise you're going to lose the house. And it turns out we didn't even exchange till 4 months after we got the mortgage. But hey ho, it is what it is. We did another site visit on the 19th of October. You can see here. Here it just shows, this is the view from the show home. We're really lucky, to be honest, because our house is the first house as you go onto the site. So we don't even need access to the site to be able to see the progress. So in that way, we're really lucky. So this just shows the foundations have gone in at this point, and considering we was going to be moving in January initially, you can see how far behind these things start to get. So the foundations have gone in. You barely can see the little brickwork at the bottom there. but that's about it. So we left it a couple of months and we went back in the middle of December. So a couple of days before we exchanged, actually, on the 15th of December, we went back and had another look. So on the 15th of December, we've gone and had another look at the site, and this time it was like our site visit, hard hat visit, sort of, almost, but you get another hard hat visit when the roof is on and you can go around. But we was actually really lucky to be able to go on site, so the pictures are a lot closer up. As you can see from when we was there in October to the 15th of December, not a lot has happened. The bricks have gone a little bit further up. It turns out that they were concentrating more on the houses behind it, so they had gone up quite a bit, and their sort of bricks had gone up to the second floor. Some of them had roof slats on. Ours, as you can see, just went up to sort of like my head height, if that. Disappointing a little bit, but these things happen. We kind of expected it. So it's still really nice to see your house progressing, but once again, massive delays. So we ended up leaving it probably about 6 weeks because of Christmas and New Year. No one was working on the site, so we didn't expect any work to get done. So going back to sort of like the middle of January, it wouldn't have been much different. So we left it and went back sort of the first week of February, 8th of February I think it was. And as you can see from the picture here, the brickwork had gone up to probably is finished on the ground floor, and they'd started putting the scaffolding up so they could work on the brickwork going up to the second floor. Once again, you consider that initially they told us that the completion was going to be sort of January, February. You can see how the date gets pushed back. But you know, when you expect it, it's not a big deal, but sometimes you're not always told that how far it can be pushed back. You're just, when you reserve, it's like, oh well, it's off plan, so you know the date can change. It's not a kind of, the date's probably going to change quite a bit, which in most cases I imagine it probably will. So we're in mid-February. As I've already said, our mortgage offer ran out on the 12th of February. Thankfully, they just extended it for another 6 months, and all they wanted was the last 3 months pay slips and 3 months bank statements, and they just did it no problem. There was no real delay. It was like a few days, so it was quite stress-free, thankfully, and that took us up to the 12th of August. And considering our estimated completion date on our contracts was the 8th of May, we thought that's going to cover us. We don't have to worry, we're fine. Because once you've exchanged, you are legally bound to complete on that property. If you don't, you owe 10% of the property price, which you don't get back. Unless it's delayed by so much it goes past the long stop date, which is normally 6 months from the date of completion on the contract, if there's no roof. If there's a roof, it's even shorter. Ours didn't have a roof, so from the 8th of May, it would be the 8th of November. So if it wasn't ready by the 8th of November, we could then pull out and get our money back. But if it was ready before then, we are legally obliged to complete on that house. So that was done. Happy days. And then, as you can see, here, we went back a couple of weeks later. This is the 3rd of March, just to have another look. And as you can see from the picture, it's the brickwork's gone up a little bit, but it's still not at roof height. So it's making progress. And then you all know what happened. COVID. So the site got locked down. No one was doing any work. Nothing was happening to the house. And yeah, that was it. So it's understandable. We knew it was going to happen. Everyone was, you know, having to be safe, and it's just what needed to be done. So it wasn't until a good 6 to 8 weeks later. It was sort of the middle of May. Middle of May, I think, around there. They went back to work. But obviously then they had certain things in place where only 1 or 2 people were allowed on each site or in each house to do work, and they had sort of limited the number of people on the whole site as well. So here's a picture from the 18th of May when we went and had a quick look. We obviously just went from the car park. We didn't need to go into the site or, you know, contaminate anyone. So this is a picture we took on the 18th of May. As you can see, the brickwork finally has gone up to the roof level, and the roof slats have gone up, ready and waiting to be tiled or whatever they do to the roof. So it was actually making faster progress after COVID than it seemed to before. But unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, at the beginning of June, they had their sort of first meeting since the lockdown to give an update on building progress. And at that point, they told us that they were looking at November, December for completion. So as you can imagine, initially, when we first reserved, from January 2020 going to December 2020, that's 12 months difference. Obviously, COVID played a part, but you think they were only locked down for 6 weeks and it's that much difference. Anyway, thankfully, since then, that date has been revised and they're now saying mid-October at the moment. But that's been the date they've given us since the 1st of July, and work does seem to be progressing really well. As you can see from this picture that I took, this was on the 7th of June and the roof is already on. So most of the windows are in at this point, but there's still one missing downstairs. But if you look at this picture that I took just a couple of weeks later on the 24th of June, this shows that the windows are fitted, it's watertight, and it's actually looking like a house. So very excited about that. Although you consider that on the contracts, we should have completed on the 8th of May, and even before COVID, they were saying the end of June. And now, yeah, it's just the outside that's finished. The inside still looks completely bare. So the 24th of June, it was also when we got our hard hat visit. Now, they wasn't going to do it because of COVID, but they managed to kind of wangle it in a way that we didn't get any hard hats or high vis or use any of their equipment, and we didn't have a tour of the place. We would just kind of walk to the front door and then there you go, have a walk around. So we did that, and here's a few pictures from that. You can see that they've started to put up the sort of whatever you call those wall partition board things. But it's, yeah, this was quite exciting to be able to walk around and see it finally take shape. Now, as mentioned, since COVID, they estimated our completion, well, November, December, and then brought it forward to October. But as you probably are aware, that meant going past August the 12th when our mortgage offer, the extension, run out. So on the 23rd of July, we had to then put in a brand new application because they wouldn't extend it anymore because the valuation was a year old. So that was another nervous 2 weeks. At that point, our situation apparently, according to the broker, got better. So we could look at, once again, the higher tier lenders. And she reckoned we could get a pretty good deal with Halifax. Once again, we wanted a 5-year fixed term because I can't be dealing with that every couple of years. And we managed to get a rate of 1.78. Unfortunately, due to COVID, there is a massive backlog for valuations. We were quite lucky in the fact that it was only going to be 2.5 weeks. I've seen on some of the forums that some people are waiting 3 to 4 weeks for evaluation, which would do my head in. But Halifax are really good. They gave us what they call an agreement subject to valuation. So after 3 days of applying, they'd said, you know, pretty much all the documents are fine. We just obviously have to wait for the valuation. Valuation happened on the 13th of August, and on the 14th of August, we were told that we had been given an offer. So, as you can imagine, massive relief because that was stressing me out for a couple of weeks. Yeah, we were kind of made to feel that having no offer in place once you've exchanged was quite normal. It happens, but since speaking to people, they're like, no, that should never happen. Like, you are legally obliged to complete on that house. If you don't have an offer in place, things, you know, could go very south very quickly. So yeah, if it's looking like you're going to need another mortgage offer and your current offer is not going to, you know, cover your completion date, just get on your broker, or if you're doing it yourself, get on it early. If you're getting an extension, some of these places won't look at an extension until a month before, but if it's been 12 months like us, you're probably going to need a whole new application because a lot of lenders won't take a year-old valuation. They want a new one done. So if that's going to be the case, get it in there early. I was on my broker since the end of June and they were just like, no, it's fine, Accord will just extend. And at the beginning of July I was like, look, it's been 12 months, are you sure they're going to extend? Can we have this in writing or just officially from them? Oh no, it's fine, don't worry. And then sort of the 19th of July, it was like, send me your pay slip and your bank statement and I'll get it extended. And then on the 21st of July it was like, oh, by the way, they're not going to extend. We have to do a new application. And, you know, this is 3 weeks before our offer ran out. And I just knew at that point, I was like, we're going to be without an offer. And it did my head in. But it was only one day we was at an offer, but it's still not the nicest feeling. So at present, we are waiting for the middle of October. At the moment, they've done the walls, they've done the plastering, they've done a mist coat, which apparently is like a mix of water and paint to seal the plaster. And they're now doing the fittings, and they reckon they're going to have the kitchen in the next few weeks. So it's looking on track for the middle of October, but I know they're having a meeting this week about potentially maybe bringing the dates forward. Who knows? So that is my experience anyway of buying a new build off plan on a brand new development. Expect delays. If you're using the Help to Buy, you're going to have to get in there quick, because by February or March next year, at some point early next year, it's changing, and the amount you can, well, the property price, the limit is going down, and it's now per area. So like there's the east of England, the south east of England, and each area has its own house price limit. And if it was applicable now, we wouldn't be able to buy the house we just bought because it's too expensive. And a lot of the Redrow developments I know are not going to be able to use Help to Buy in this area anyway, because they're too expensive for it. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, if you're doing the Help to Buy, make sure your broker is on the authority to proceed, authority to exchange, which you need to do before you exchange. Make sure your mortgage offers are done. And yeah, as you can tell from reserving back in April 2019, we're now in August 2020, and the house is still not built. But these things need to be expected, especially with a new build. It's not always the case on an established development, so if they've already built a few houses and the new houses are going up, you probably find there's not as much of a delay. But on this site, we had issues with getting the energy company to hook up, like build the substation, because they started building it before lockdown, and then when they went back to work, they just didn't come back for ages. The water company were also apparently playing around trying to hook the whole development up, which took a little bit of time as well, but that's all sorted, thankfully, fingers crossed. So yeah, I'm going to post another video probably nearer the time once we've done our final house visit, which is usually about 10 days before completing. They give you that notice to say, yeah, completion's definitely happening, 10 days time. So around that time, or just a bit before, you get a final tour of the house. So I'm going to do another video with that, take my camera, look around the house, and as you can see from the pictures, there's been some progress. It's really nice to see your house progressing. I know some people hate new builds, but yeah, I kind of like it. And at the moment, the only good thing to come out of COVID is no stamp duty. Thankfully for us, the house is way under 500,000. So as before, we were going to have to pay about 9,000 stamp duty. If we complete before March, we don't have to pay anything. So that money, we did have it saved. We weren't completely stupid and going to be like, oh yeah, now we need to find 9 grand. We had it in the bank. But now it's kind of like, well, once we complete, if we do complete before then, we can just buy loads of nice stuff for the house. And maybe a little holiday, who knows. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled. I'll do another update in sort of October time to show you guys how the house has progressed. But as you can see already from the pictures I've put on this video, from being a ground full of dirt to a little bit of brickwork, it's starting to take shape. So yeah, if you like the video or you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer. And if you're buying a house at the moment, good luck. If it's anything like my sort of experience, you're going to need it.